all good.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to season 5 of Think Theo. And I didn't point this out on some of the previous podcasts, but our theme for season 5 is 2 words: don't wait. That's the theme for season 5. And that's kind of what I did with this season. I'm not waiting. I'm just going to get it done and get some good information out there to the people that need it. So, in doing that, our guest today is Dr. Betsy Guerra. And we were just talking about how to pronounce her last name. She says it beautifully, but I met her through a brand builders group that I'm a part of in Tennessee, and she was one of the guest speakers, and it was amazing. I'm going to put all her contact information, all her social media in all the notes for this podcast. So I want you to really reach out to her, follow her if you're hurting, if you need help. She's going to talk about what she specializes in. She's a renowned psychotherapist. She's the author of Hurt to Hope, right? Yes, Hurt to Hope. And she is a mother, a wife, and most importantly for me, she is a Christian example, a Christian testimony. So, Dr. Betsy, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Theo. I am delighted to be here with you
I'm
and
so
everybody and all of you listening. This is for you. I'm going to be speaking to you, to your heart today. So I just ask that you open your heart to what God has in store for you today.
Absolutely. And I wasn't prepared for you when we went to lunch. We were all set up to go on lunches with different people we'd never met. And I was kind of sharing my story at the lunch table. We were all going around and I shared my story. And she's like, but you have the hope inside of you. You have Jesus inside of your heart. And I was just like, wow, yeah. And then later, she was a speaker after lunch, and I learned her story of tragedy and trauma. And so, if you'd like to, Dr. Betsy, kind of share what you've been through.
So since I was little, Theo, I had this dream of living a fairy tale life. I lived to meet my Prince Charming and have children with him and live happily ever after. That's all I could think about my entire life. And God blessed me with the opportunity to do just that. I literally had my Prince Charming rescue me in his like in his shining armor and a white big horse. Just kidding. We met in a layover in Miami. I'm from Puerto Rico, so I was coming from Brazil, did a stop in Miami, went to go back to Puerto Rico, and we met during that layover. And I always say that I did not meet my husband. I recognized him
Oh, I
because
love that.
I I I loved him all along. I had written a prayer slash list to God where I told him, like, God, you've asked us to speak from the heart, to share what it is that we desire. You've put all the desires of our hearts in our hearts. So I'm just doing my part of putting it on paper and letting you know, like, I surrender this to you. So I wrote my list. I included, it was 130 things in there. I included all the important things, the values, how I wanted him to get along with my family, with myself, like I wanted to feel towards him, all the things, but also the unimportant things. Like, I hope he doesn't pee in the toilet seat, like, because I had brothers who did and I hated it. And and I would just thank God every day for him. And I thanked him. I'm like, thank you. And I love him so much. And I would imagine him and I just knew that God had him for me. So I just needed to be still and trust and put myself in a position where I could recognize him. So I recognized my Prince Charming. We had 4 children back to back. Then we bought a big TV to now have more. And yes, my husband's super sexy. So he was like kind of irresistible. And we are both one of 4 in our family. So we always loved big families. So life was perfect. And August 25th, 2013, it was a Sunday. And we got ready in the morning to go to church. When we were in the kitchen, my husband and my second daughter, Fofi is what we call her, Fofi, she comes in through the hallway door, opens the door, and she always had a very exciting welcome from us every morning. So she just came waiting for us to welcome her. And I go, "Good morning, sunshine." And she runs to my arms and gives me a hug and wraps her little hands. She was almost 3 years old. She was 2 years and 9 months.
Love
She
that age.
She puts her two little hands around my neck and like hugs me and then goes to do the juicing game with daddy. Daddy would do a juice and she had to taste it and guess what were the fruits or the vegetables in it. It was perfect. It was a perfect Sunday morning, like every other Sunday in our lives, because we really lived a fairy tale life. And then we got ready to go to church, went to church. We're Catholic, so in the mass, we always do the Our Father. And she didn't know English; she spoke only in Spanish. So I remember we actually went to a Spanish mass, which wasn't usually the case. And I remember the lady next to her, because she was the last one in the row, or the last of the family. She was sitting next to an older lady, and the older lady was a, I'm sorry, no, it was an English mass. And I had just taught her the Our Father in English. So
Oh,
the lady was and then she's like, "Father, who art in heaven," like with her, her really bad accent, or super cute accent, I should say. And she was completing the Our Father, practicing it and being excited about having learned it. So I have like, I don't know, I have that like ingrained in my mind. We came back from church and we were having a pool party in because we were about to start construction in the backyard. It was the end of the summer. School had just started. Our oldest daughter had just started school in pre-K 4. She had never been to school before. So we were like, okay, let's do this. Any excuse to just get together with family and friends. And I was in the kitchen getting everything ready for the pool party when Fofi comes to me and grabs my shorts, pulls at my shorts, and goes like, "Mami, yo quiero estar donde tú estés," which translates to, "Mommy, I want to be where you're at." And that was her way of saying, like, "No, mommy, I want you to be where I want to be," which is inside the pool. So she grabbed my hand, took me to the pool. I went in the pool with her. And when we moved to a house with a pool, she had taken survival classes and then swimming classes and all the things because I was super psycho as a mom, it turns out. And so we were in the pool and my husband came to join us. Her sister, my oldest daughter, came to join us. She was 4 at the time. The little one was almost 3. I mean, the middle one. And we are in the pool doing the cheerleading game, which meant I would have one of my daughters on the right shoulder, the other one on the left one, and then my husband would lift me up. So they were like, lifting the hands and cheering, and it was everything was fun. Our life was so much fun. And then she was super proud because she had just been escalated to the next level in swimming classes. So she was like, "Look, daddy, look." And she was swimming from me to dad, from dad to me. She was so proud, and we were so proud. She used to be a little scared of the water because when she did the survival classes, they forced her a lot. And so she was crying the whole time. And she had like respect. She loved water, but she had like respect for it. So
right.
actually, the week prior, we had been in Puerto Rico and we were in a pool, and she was holding from the rail of the edge of the pool by the little steps, and like her feet went up, and she started like complaining, like, "Mommy, mommy," like she was scared. And I'm like, "Mama, don't worry. Mommy's here. Mommy's gonna take care of you." So a week later, we're in this pool party, and people started getting there, and the kids are playing in the edge. And my husband got out of the pool, and he's in the tiki doing barbecue with the guys. And I'm inside with some of the moms and some of my friends, and it's perfect. So I'm talking to a friend, and then suddenly she asks, "Where's Fofi?" And at that moment, Theo, like my heart started pounding, and I started looking everywhere with like hypervigilant eyes. And I'm like, "Where is Fofi?" Like, and I don't know why I was so scared, because there was no reason to be scared. Like it's a small pool, and like the kids were there, but she was not with the kids. So I felt like anxious and desperate and like scared. And I don't even know why. There was no reason for me to feel that way. And then suddenly I looked next to me, and there she was, but at the bottom. of the pool. So I went in the water and I grabbed her little body and like her little body with the red and white polka dot mini bathing suit, and I clutched her against my chest and I brought her out of the water and I put her on the edge, and I don't know, I must have done CPR or something. I had a friend who was a doctor who was there in my house, so she came immediately to like give her CPR to protect her to save. And at that moment, as soon as I saw someone was taking care of her, I like went to a corner and I just prayed. And I was like, God, please save her. God, please save her. God, you know I'm raising her for you, Lord. Please save her. And I just knew. I knew he was gonna save her. Like I just knew. I was obedient. I was faithful. Like I was raising her for him. So I just prayed because I was scared that any instant that I didn't would be interpreted as lack of faith. My friend gave her CPR. She called the ambulance. They got here in 5 minutes. We got to the hospital in 5 more minutes. It was the perfect situation for her to be saved. It was ideal. So I saw hope and God in all of it. I got into the hospital and I remember like the doctors being so adamant about taking care of her. And I remember the feeling of they're taking care of her as if she was theirs.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew God was there. And I just kept on praying and praying. And at some point I was so overwhelmed because she wasn't responding. And she had a pulse when she got out of the pool, but like she wasn't responding. So I'm like, God, give me something that I can repeat in prayer so that I may remain connected to you without having to think. And what came to me, Theo, was I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I thought, no, because that meant she wasn't going to make it. And I thought it was lack of faith. So I'm like, no, God, please save her. Please, Lord, please save her. You know, I'm raising her for you, Lord. What do you want from me? Okay, like, God, please, 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 please. And then suddenly I see there's a monitor in the room,
Mm-hmm.
and the monitor had a flat line and like a straight line. And I'm like, but there's another line that was like zigzag. So I was like, what is that line? What's the meaning of it? Is it the flat line? Is it? And at that point, I was like, just be specific in your prayer. And I'm like, make her heart beat, Lord, make her heart beat, Lord, make her heart beat, make her heart beat. And he didn't feel. He did not make my daughter's heart beat. And when I got home without my daughter, and I managed somehow to fall asleep, the next thing I remember is I was on my daughter's bathroom floor, rocking back and forth like a deranged woman, wanting to rip my head off because I could not bear, the pain of reality. It was like I literally wanted to rip my head off. So I didn't have to think or be in contact with this reality. And although I had a doctorate in psychology and had been in practice for 13 years at the time, I understood that day why people go crazy. Some realities are too hard to bear, so they must, in order to survive, they must lose contact with reality. And that's when I first saw darkness. Darkness, no hope. I could not live like that. And I couldn't. I wouldn't have been able to live like that. It's too hard. So then the next morning, I'm hiding in my walk-in closet because there were a lot of people in my house and I felt so overwhelmed and I didn't want to look at their faces because their look of pity and pain, like it was a reminder of this nightmare. Like I wanted to think that it was a nightmare and I was gonna wake up from it. So I just hid in the walk-in closet, like where I took some time there with my husband. And suddenly the pastor, the priest who baptized my children, came to visit, and he is the face of Christ in our lives. He's an older man with white hair, and he's short and cozy, and he's like a teddy bear, and it's just so cute and so loving and compassionate. So his presence was hope. So he came and we welcomed him into our secret hiding place, and he sat with us on the floor. And my husband, who had also experienced fairy tale, asked him, Father, is it possible to be happy again? Can we be happy again? You've seen this before. And the priest said, some people are happy again, and some people are never happy again. So my husband insisted, what's the difference? And the priest said something that forever changed my life. And I hope it changes your life if you're listening to this. The people who are never happy again choose to honor their loved one through pain and suffering. The more they suffer, the more they loved. So they cannot give themselves permission to find joy, to move forward, because that would mean they didn't love enough. And the people who are happy again are those who choose to honor their loved one in a different way. They do so through love, service, and gratitude. And Theo, I remember at that moment, I decided, and I know this in hindsight, I set the intention that I was going to be like the latter. I was going to honor my daughter through love, service, and gratitude. And when you set an intention, three things happen. Number one, you decide. Decide comes from the word decidere, which means to remove all other possibilities. I decided to be happy again, and I removed the possibility of living in darkness. I removed hopelessness. I removed misery. I removed suffering for the rest of my life. I removed having a void in my heart that would never be filled. I removed any other possibility that did not align with joy and peace, those which surpass all understanding. And by doing that, I connected to divine power, which is the second thing that happens when you set an intention. When you set an intention, it's almost the equivalent of turning on a GPS and saying, God, if considering that God is the guide, is the GPS, you're saying, God, I consent to your presence and action within me. Guide me. Guide me to my destination of joy. So I made a decision. I connected to divine power, and I chose purpose. There was purpose in everything that I did. And that's what happens when we set intentions. Because now, me choosing to participate in retreats that I went to help me connect more deeply with God, weren't just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go on this retreat and it's going to be excruciating because I'm going to, be a ball of nerves and emotions and grief. And no, it's like, I'm healing. I'm being guided to joy. I'm allowing myself to be a higher version of myself that has the strength that comes from Christ. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can manifest that. So there's purpose in everything that we do, even the little things that, I set the intention of being present. When I'm doing the dishes, I'm in prayer and I'm loving my kids. I'm not doing dishes, right? So we have the opportunity to connect any task to purpose. Mm. And I did that at that moment. And then something happened. Like I don't even know how and when, and like just little by little, and every step of the way, I felt God's grace and strength within me. And I had excruciating moments, but I never had hopelessness again like that first night. There was also always pain. There was only pain, not suffering. And I always distinguish between the two because I believe that pain is the path to healing and joy. Grief is the path. It's a process through which we heal. But suffering is when we stay stuck in pain. And there's a difference, Theo.
Mhm.
There's hope in pain because it's the journey and the process. And as long as we're feeling it, we know we're healing. Feeling is healing. But
Yes,
there's no hope in suffering.
I
When
love
such
to feel. Yes, I'm a feeler, and that's probably why we connected. I talk about that all the time. Feeling is healing, and if we're not feeling, we better be careful because it eventually will come, and my counselor back then when I went through things, she said, if you do not deal with your grief, it will deal with you.
Mhm. Wow, that's powerful advice.
But
Uh,
I think about that all the time. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You're doing amazing. I wanted to keep hearing you. People out there listening, this is so compelling, passionate, impactful, sad. I mean, let's all just take a really good deep breath right now. Whew. And keep on talking. I've got a few questions here, but I want you to keep on sharing.
No, the the time passed and I felt the feels, but with hope. Just knowing that that was not my final destination because my final destination was joy. So from the beginning, Theo, I had sparks of joy from the beginning. And the things that I did early on, I can't attribute to myself. They were, I can do all things to Christ who strengthens me. They were Christ within me
Yes,
because a week after my daughter died, my son turned 1 year old and we celebrated his birthday. It was already planned and we celebrated his birthday big. And I was, and I had moments of joy looking at my little man and I continued to take care of him and I was still breastfeeding and I could barely take care of myself, but I could take care of my 1 year old son. That was God. That was God. I saw hope. I saw God. I saw light from the beginning. It was just, they, at the beginning, there were like sparks and moments. And then they were little windows, little, cruise ship kind of windows, like tiny. And then there were bigger windows and every moment I could look for the window until the window became a door and the door became a double French door and then suddenly I'm outside. I'm living in hope and there's still some windows looking in to the darkness or the pain, like right, like moments of grief, but I was living in hope. So that what people tell me, what my clients, because I attracted a lot of clients into my private practice at the time for grief, because they were like, I saw you. You went from excruciating pain to this bright light of hope. How, Betsy? How did you do it? Because if you could do that, I can too. And I can too, men. I can get through this divorce. I can too, men. Because we think grief is losing someone to death. But grief is when we lose our child, when we lose a spouse, when we lose to death, but it's also a parent, a sibling, but it's also when your kids went away to college. It's also when your marriage ended as you knew it, when you retired and now your identity was attached to the thing that you did. It's losses when you were comfortable and abundant financially and now you're not. Losses when you were free and no problem and suddenly you're caught up in a legal issue. Grief is when we lose even our youth. Grief is losing life as we knew it, whatever that looks like. So we all have grieved, even if we haven't lost someone to death. So when you connect with that pain and you understand that it is possible to feel pain with hope, then it's just a matter of time before you arrive at healing.
yes,
And and I did. And I didn't just arrive at healing. I became the happiest woman on earth. I swear, I radiate joy. Sometimes I go to sleep and I'm like, I can't believe this is my life. And I forget. Sometimes I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm so sorry about that.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm like, oh my goodness, I must be God's favorite. And, and then I'm like, well, first of all, he's not supposed to have favorites. And second of all, Betsy, do you forget? I do. I do forget how much pain I experienced because although losing my daughter was the most excruciating pain of my life, the experience of having lost her allowed me to experience the most, the greatest blessing of my life. Because I went through so much pain, Theo, I know so much joy. Because you see, they go hand in hand. How do you know something is joy, brings joy if you've never experienced pain?
You're
You
right.
don't. You only know one. Like we live in such a dualistic world that we don't realize like, no, like you must feel both to be able to enjoy either.
Right. And
Right?
God gives us, He puts us on that path. And I hear this a lot. Well, God, a loving God wouldn't have allowed that to happen. And God uses the things that happen in our life to use us to be a testimony for Him. And those of us that decide, like you decided right then, I'm going to embrace joy and what God has planned for me. And those of us that decide not to, that's two different lives that you'll live. And it's that hope side. And we all can feel hopeless for a time when we go through a different loss or grief. But hope is always there waiting. It's waiting for you to open your eyes and to see it. God's love is overflowing. It's all that we need. And I am so thankful that I met you. I want to ask you a couple of questions. We don't have very much time left, but I want to ask you, because I get this a lot, because I'm a pretty peppy person. I'm a pretty chipper. I get, why are you so happy after everything you've been through? I don't understand how you can be so happy, almost in a negative way that they will get almost angry with me. Like, I don't understand how you can be so happy. If I was you, I'd be in the bed every day. And what I say to them is, I have a meaning in my life that I've turned into a purpose to help others. So I have a job to do. And in that job, it's fulfilling me. And I know that I'm fulfilling what God has planned for me here. And that makes me happy. So I don't know. What do you say to people that are like, Betsy, this doesn't even make sense that you're like this?
Hmm. Of course, I got that too. Like I remember an aunt telling me recently that she would look at me and be like, I guess she wasn't a good mom because
Ah,
why is she moving forward? And it's a mindset, Theo. It's what society teaches us. I felt it too. I remember there being a moment that I was dancing and I was in a high because I was in a retreat and I just had felt so much hope and joy and I had experienced the living presence of God. And I was excited. And this was early on. And I remember dancing because I just was so full of energy and joy. And then I was like, what am I doing? Because society has instilled in us that it's bad to
yeah, the
feel
shame.
joy when it's there's shame, and shame is a very low vibrating emotion. So I felt that too, but I I invite you to consider a different mindset. One of number one, what the priest said, honor your loved one through love, service, gratitude, and joy. Honor them that way because it's so easy, Theo, to honor by crawling up in a ball and crying. It's what comes naturally.
Mhm.
What's hard is to do the opposite. It's to use that pain to help others who are where you once were. It's to find purpose. Like God, God it's a promise. All things work for the good of those who love him. So the promise is God will turn anything around into the greatest blessing and joy.
When
So
God
if
says
God
all
allows,
things, sorry.
yes,
Yeah,
if
when
he
the
allows
all
it,
things,
all things. If
all
he allows for something to happen, because he didn't do this, he didn't create this, he didn't. God is a God of good, love, compassion, mercy. It just he's a tree of goodness. He cannot give you something else that's not good or feels good. So he didn't do this to me, to you, but he allowed it. He had the power to intervene and prevent it. And that was a fight I had with God at some point. But he had better plans than the ones that I could come up with. So things that helped me with that is I get to choose. Do I honor through suffering, or do I honor through love, service, and gratitude? And I chose the latter. I got to choose. Do I want to dwell on this or use this to become stronger and a force to reckon with so that I can inspire hope in others? I
Yes.
chose. I got to choose. Do I want to be a testament of suffering and then make the people around me who survived miserable and have them lose me and the sister or the daughter or the niece or the granddaughter, right? Like have them lose me too, because we can die while still breathing. Or am I going to be a source of life for those around me? And
Right.
I chose the latter. So and by the way, we can move forward without leaving behind. And
Yes.
that's something that is not taught to us. We think if
No,
we're moving forward, we forgot about the person.
we
Or
don't
not, I
realize,
don't love them
right.
enough.
We can
We can move
integrate
forward.
that integrated grief is, and I think that's what's so beautiful when we're able to integrate what once was with what is to be. And that is the beauty of it. And people, just like it is, it's those society things, those standards that we feel like that, oh, I can't be like this, or people will think this. And I just am so thankful that you have chose the life of hope and light and gratitude and service, because you've been a blessing to my life. You know, I haven't met a lot of us. And when I say us, it's people that have been through traumatic events and are still happy and have joy. And I'm still thankful for my life, and I'm thankful for the ones that I've had in it that are no longer here. But to honor them, I'm going to help other people that were like me. And I'm just so thankful to know you and that you are doing this. So thank you. And we only have a couple of minutes left. I want you to tell us about, how did you spell her name, Fofi? I can't hear you now. I don't know what happened. I think your audio.
4 feet.
Yeah. I want you to tell us in the next 1 to 2 minutes about Fofi.
Fofi was almost 3, so her life was short in the time that we conceptualize as human beings, but her life was full and complete. Like at such a young age, she had such a big heart and she cared so much. Like I remember, like I had a friend who had a son with cerebral palsy and he didn't walk yet, and he would come play and all the kids would go and like play in the playground and run around, and Fofi would grab a blanket, put it on the floor, sit with him and just play with toys on the blanket. There was another time that we were at a party and she saw a random kid that she didn't know crying, and she went to her and hugged her and was like, it's okay, don't cry, everything's gonna be okay. She just cared and loved so much. And I remember at some point hearing that the reason, like my mom shared this wisdom with me because I was fighting with God. I was like, why, if you could have intervened, why didn't you? And my mom said, God is like a fisherman. And if a fisherman grabs a fish out of the water and the fish is too small, the fisherman puts it back. But if the fish is ready, it's big enough, then he keeps it. And I thought, readiness does not depend on the years that we spend on earth. Readiness depends on the work that we've done to stay close to God, to stay one with God.
I
And
love
my daughter was one with God. She was ready. And if staying in the water would have meant that she could have gotten hurt, a shark would come and eat her, right? Like she could experience suffering, or it would have hurt her possibilities of coming into heaven and rejoining, like going back home to her father, then the right thing was to keep her. So Theo, God did save my daughter. he just didn't save her the way I wanted her to be saved at the moment.
Yeah, and we've
And
got less than a minute, but I'm so thankful for her life because it is through her life that you gave her, you and your husband, that your life has changed and is changing others. So her life is still, she is helping people. Even in her death, she is still helping people and she's still holding them and putting the blanket out.
amen. Amen to that.
Dr. Betsy, thank you so much. I'm going to have all her contact information in the notes. So please reach out to her if you need anything. She is amazing. I'm thankful that she's my friend. Thank you, Dr. Betsy.
Thank you.
And remember, people, don't wait.